For so many years, I followed all the rules about money. I listened to finance gurus on YouTube, tried every saving hack, and even dived into the world of investing. But something always felt off. Like I was missing a crucial part of the puzzle. If you've ever felt like the traditional money advice just isn't clicking for you, or if you're just tired of hearing the same old money advice, then this video is for you. Because what if I told you that doing well with money has less to do with spreadsheets or hacks and more to do with your own mind? The real secret to building true wealth isn't about the most complicated trading strategies out there, but instead learning about your own primitive human behavior. That's why in today's video, I'm going to dive into the top 3 money tips I learned from this book right here, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. So money tip number 1 is that wealth is what you don't see. Now, because we're all so glued on our phones and social media all the time, we see very disguised forms of wealth everywhere. You have the 18-year-old day traders who drop out of school, drive Lambos, taking business class flights everywhere and just basically living their best life and traveling the world. You also see people flexing their super expensive luxury watches and bags that cost more than our annual salaries, which is insane when I think about it. You honestly don't know what's true and what's not, so always take everything that you see on the internet with a pinch of salt. But if you own any of these things I just mentioned, congratulations, these are what our society deems as wealthy things that you can see in your life. Or rather, when you drive a $100,000 car around, people will assume that you have a lot of money in your bank account and you'll definitely be rich, right? There's no way that someone who drives a nice car isn't rich. At least that's what we were all wired to think, and it's what we were all taught in school as well. You want to buy a nice house, drive a nice car, have a big wedding and stuff like that, and that's going to show that you are doing well in life. However, the funny thing that was mentioned in this book right now is that the only objective data that you have about this stranger that possesses this $100,000 car is that they possess $100,000 less in their bank account because they use that money to buy the car itself. Now, does this guy still seem as rich as you think? You can answer that question yourself in your heads. The book suggests that true wealth is actually having a high savings rate and saving as much money as possible for the future. You don't need to have a savings goal like saving for a car, a house, or even a vacation so that you can spend everything on, but instead just save for the sake of saving, which really goes against the grain a little bit. And you might be thinking, why the heck am I just saving money for no reason? And I can't enjoy myself right now. I'm not saying anything like that. Enjoy yourself right now. Buy some of the things that you can really enjoy. Maybe it could be food, maybe you can be going for a holiday and stuff like that, but still try to save as much money as possible while still living within your means and enjoying yourself. So having more money on hand means basically you can buy some of these intangible things that we don't talk about so much, like having options and flexibility. This means that if something unexpected happens in your life, like an emergency, you have enough funds to cover yourself for it, and you don't have to live every day in anxiety. If your job is too stressful, with enough savings, you can have the option to take a sabbatical or even quit the job and take one with a lesser pay but more flexibility and mental headspace. Are all just options. You don't actually have to do any of them, but just knowing and feeling like you have the ability to do it if you want to, it really does wonders for your life. For me, I've always been obsessed with living a fairly minimalistic life, even though I live in such an expensive city like Singapore. I try my best to save as much money as possible without necessarily saving for a particular goal. This really paid off a little bit when the whole tariff situation happened a couple months back and the whole stock market fell by so much. I must say I was super surprised by it, and I'm not going to just pretend like I'm a stock market guru, which when it happened I was super prepared for it. Nothing like that. I was already investing, but it still took me by surprise. But that's fine, right? The initial reaction is surprise, it could be shock, it could be panic, it could be anxiety or anything like that. But just limit your reaction to a small amount of time and then quickly get back onto your feet and see what you can do to remedy the situation. So for me, I was able to deploy around $20,000 to $30,000 into both the S&P 500 and Nvidia stock. Now that everything has risen back to its all-time highs, you can see that my Nvidia stock is actually up almost 50% because I was able to capitalize on this golden opportunity with proper savings. I was basically a lion or a tiger waiting for the opportunity to pounce, and that really gave a very nice opportunity. So if you ever feel that saving money is a waste of time, think deeper about how it can actually give you more mental stability and the choices to live a happier and more intentional life. So if true wealth is invisible, how do we actually build it and make decisions that align with this reality, especially when our primitive brains are wired so differently from the rest? And that brings us to money tip number 2, which is to be reasonable and not rational. As much as I would love to be a stereotypical, logical-based type of man that only offers solutions to my girlfriend when she's angry, unfortunately, we can't always be as rational as what we think. There's this very nice quote from the book that says, "You're not a spreadsheet, you're a person." a screwed up emotional person. This is one of the most important parts of money psychology, because when it comes to finance and money, people are not able to be coldly rational to make these decisions. We all change as human beings and we evolve as the years pass, and our family context changes as well. From all the research, all the finance gurus out there that you've heard on YouTube, you would know that if you consistently invest into just the S&P 500, don't touch anything else, just the S&P 500, you'll be able to earn a good amount of money by the time you retire. Okay, let's not fool myself. I probably even knew it even before I was 25 years old, but yet I still chose to do differently. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to this. You all know the correct way to do certain things, but you just choose not to do so because you haven't lived through it, or you think you can do better, which is arguably something a naive 20+ year old would do in that sense. But I really hated my job and I wanted to become as rich as possible to escape that job and life. I invested half of my net worth at that time, which was $10,000, into Bitcoin. It was such an unstable asset at that time, and it was not clear how it would work out today. Of course, looking back now, Bitcoin boomed and it did outperform the S&P 500, but it could have easily gone the other way and I could have lost all that money. My circumstances have obviously changed now. I have more money, I have a girlfriend, and I have parents that I would like to support in the future as well. This means that with all these changes in my life, the way I'm comfortable to invest will be to dollar cost average about $2,000 into the S&P 500 to grow that portfolio, and I shouldn't YOLO half my net worth into any individual investment right now. So the lesson here for everyone is that it's okay to be human and to be emotional about your decisions. You might have to support your kids, pay for your tuition fees, or even have parents waiting for you at home to support. With all these different circumstances, it's normal to make mistakes and have a shiny object syndrome to want to invest into many different things to get rich quickly. Perhaps have two portfolios. One is for long-term investing like the S&P 500, where you can just set it and forget it. The other will be a more volatile trading type portfolio where you can speculate all you want based on what you would like to achieve and just have fun, enjoy yourself, YOLO into any of these kind of things with the proper research hopefully, and really just have fun and enjoy yourself. See what this can bring you, but always knowing that the long-term portfolio will be your insurance level, or rather using that long-term portfolio as your foundation, and if you ever fail, that long-term portfolio will still be able to sustain you for your retirement and your life. This will help you to scratch your itch to be more of a reasonable investor instead of a totally rational one where you can just ignore all your circumstances and just do the so-called right things in life. But even with a reasonable plan, life is still quite unpredictable. So what's the ultimate solution that allows you to survive the asteroids and not die out like the dinosaurs? That brings us to money tip number 3, which is room for error. The most important part of every plan is to plan for the plan to fail and not have everything go according to plan. I know it sounds ironic as hell, but let me explain. I'm sure you guys had this so-called roadmap in your head on how your life was supposed to turn out around 5 to 10 years ago. How many of you guys can truly touch your heart and tell me that everything went according to plan? If you really do exist, please let me know down in the comment section down below. I really want to find out what it is that you went through. I'm sure almost none of you can say that the plan went exactly as you thought. It's not about being right all the time, lifting your big ass ego, but more so to have the wisdom to say that uncertainty, randomness, and unknowns can happen to your life at any moment that can disrupt this plan. It's like starting a business. You can take the highest risk where you put everything on the line and bet it big. But the moment you strike out once, you go completely out of business. That's not a very smart way to do business, is it? A lot of business suffer and go through cycles where the business is not doing well, but the most important thing is that to be prudent when things are going well and save enough money so that when you can weather the storms when the recessions arrive. This means that this margin of safety or room for error is meant to help you to survive, stay in the game, and to live to fight another day. This is how I plan to make use of this room for error, at least in the short run. I'm saving up for my house, wedding, and miscellaneous things in the next year or so. At first, I saved up around 70k or so, and I thought that would be enough to cover everything. Aside from this savings, every other dollar I had, I poured it straight into the stock market so that I can reach my investment goals as soon as possible and retire a millionaire young. However, what if things don't go according to plan and 70k is not enough to pay for everything? The author suggests to put in a 30% room for error so that I can still afford it if the actual price of everything exceeds my budget. It's not too late to invest the rest of it once I'm done with all these big ticket items afterwards. This means that instead of $70,000, I should have closer to $90,000 so that I can be more assured of things going in my favor and not striking out and going out of business. So whatever it is that you're saving for in your life, whether it be retirement savings, saving for a house or vacation, add in this 30% room for error so that you can be prepared for the unknown problems that come up along the way. This means that the best case scenario is that you hit the exact number that you calculated years ago, which is very, very unlikely to happen, but let's say you do it. And the worst case scenario is that you can handle all the problems and you are covered both ways anyway. Remember, you don't want to end up like the dinosaurs that we see in museums and tell stories about today. You want to be the next James Bond that always takes enough risk but lives to go for his next mission all the time. So hopefully this video helps you to understand the psychology behind saving and investing money and helps you to build a happier and more meaningful life. If you enjoyed this video here, then you'll probably enjoy this video here of why I live like I'm broke in a city of millionaires. Thanks for watching, have an amazing day as usual, and I'll see you guys in the next few videos. Bye bye.